Click the Join button and get access to all the lessons in the playlist Chess Lessons for Beginners. Start learning chess from the endgame. To comprehend the endgame means to comprehend chess. José Raúl Capablanca, the third world champion. We all know the pawn-square rule. We will learn in this lesson how to apply it correctly in a practical game. This is the basis of chess. I remind you of the pawn-square rule. If the king enters the opponent's pawn square, he catches up with this pawn. Black's move in the position on the screen. King c4. The king enters the opponent's pawn square. g5, king d5, g6, king e6, g7, king f7. The king catches up with this pawn, a draw. The white king couldn't help his pawn. Black's move in the next example. The pawn is in the initial position. It can move 2 squares forward. We build the pawn square from a3. King f4. The king enters the opponent's pawn square and catches up it. a4, king e5, a5, king d6, a6, king c7, a7, king b7. A draw. There is a hindrance in the way of the movement of the king in the following example. The pawn square rule isn't used. Black loses even with his move. King b4, f5, king c5, f6, king d5. The king left the pawn square avoiding his pawn. The black king lacks one tempo to catch up with the pawn. f7, king e6, f8, queen. Let's go back and consider the variant with d-pawn movement. d5, f5. The pawn square has become smaller, and the black king lacks one tempo again. d4, king b1. Black cannot move by pawn to the promotion square because white king holds her up. King b4, f6, d3, king c1, king c5, f7, and white pawn moves to the promotion square. Pawn f and g protect each other in the following example. If the black king takes an f-pawn, king takes f3, he will leave the g-pawn square, and g-pawn will move to the promotion square. g5, king f4, g6, king f5, g7, king f6, g8, queen. Let's go back. If black doesn't take a pawn and moves king g5, then white king will move two pawns and helps them to move, because pawns cannot move independently in this case. Let's look. King c2, king f4, King d3, King g5, King e4, King g6, f4. Pawns move to the promotion square with help of his king. Surprisingly, but in the following position, pawns also protect each other. If the black king takes an f-pawn, king takes f3, he will leave the h-pawn square and h-pawn will move to the promotion square. If the black king guards the pawns, then the white king approaches them and helps to get to the promotion square. Let's look. King f5, King c2, King g6, King d3, King h5, King e4, King h4, King f5. The white king helps the pawn. He pulls her along like a train. The white king pushes the black king. The pawn moves to the promotion square and white wins. King h5, f4, King h6, King f6, not letting the black king to the f8 square. King h7, King f7, King h6, f5, King g5, f6, King f5, King e7, King g6, f7, King g7, f8, Queen. White pawns pass to the promotion square even without the help of their king, regardless of the turn. Let's look. h6, King g6, e6. If the black king takes h6 pawn, he will leave the e-pawn square, and e-pawn will move to the promotion square. King f6, h7. The king also cannot take e-pawn. King g7, e7, threatening to put a queen. King f7, h8, Queen. Now let's pass the turn to black. It will turn out the same. King c2, King e6, h6. Black cannot take e5 pawn because he will leave the h6 pawn square. King f7, e6 check, King g6, e7, King f7. The king is trying hard to stop the pawns, but he doesn't succeed. He constantly goes beyond pawn squares. h7, King g7, e8, Queen. White wins. Homework. Whites move in the position on the screen. Win the endgame using pawn square rule. Blacks move in the second homework. Win the endgame using pawn square rule 2. The answers you can see in the next 17th lesson. And now the answer to the homework of the previous 15th lesson. It was necessary to win the game for white using the method of reasonable simplifications with a large material advantage. The answer: Queen d4 check, king g8 and queen d5 check, double attack. Exchange follows, that is, reasonable simplifications. Queen d5, c takes d, bishop d5, b4. The pawn moves to the promotion square. Bishop cannot hold it back, so the king helps him. King f7, b5, king e7, b6, king d6, rook d1, a tie. King c6, rook d5, king b6, rook d7. White wins the pawns on the king side and wins. The variant after b6, bishop a8, then b7, bishop takes b7, rook c7 check, double attack, and white wins. The same variant bishop e4, b7, bishop takes b7, rook c7 check. In the next 17th lesson we will study the basic rules and techniques of the playing in the endgame, king and rook pawn against the lone king. See you!